to the chopper!
My first job that I had was working in a cinema. I got a job when I was 14. I was in Springfield, Virginia, and I became a ticket taker and a concessions person, and I ended up doing the art promotion for the cinema that I was in. So I've always loved movies, and I went to college in University of Wisconsin-Madison, and after 2 years, I decided I'd move out to California to see if Hollywood was what I really wanted. So I did. I had saved up $800, and I didn't know anybody in Hollywood except one guy who was the projectionist at the cinema that I worked in my very first job. So I camped out on his couch and really didn't know how to get into the business. I hadn't a clue. And I was there for about 3 months when I discovered the trade magazine Variety, Daily Variety, which I hadn't seen before. I didn't know anything about it. And in that trade magazine, there was a column that said films in the future. And I thought, yes, films in the future. That's what that's exactly what I need. And I'm looking down and looking for any names that might look familiar. And I saw that John Landis, who I knew had done Kentucky Fried Movie and all those films, and he was a big name. He was doing a movie called The Incredible Shrinking Woman, which he ended up not doing, but at that point he was. So, and it said it was at Paramount Studios, and it had the phone number for Paramount Studios. So I called Paramount Studios thinking, I'm gonna call John Landis because I know he worked on Kentucky Fried Movie, and the Zuckers were from Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to school. And so there's a connection there. This is my in.
I love it.
And I called Paramount Studios and I asked for John Landis's office, and they put me through to John Landis's office, and his secretary answers, and she says, I said, may I speak to John Landis? She said, what's this in regards to? And then this is the singular moment that it was the pivotal moment in my career. For some reason, I'd been in Hollywood for 3 months without any clue as to how to get a job, and I was fed up, I guess. I don't usually talk like this, but when she said, what's this in regards to? I said, trivia, put me through to John. It just leapt out of me like involuntarily. I didn't even know. Anyway, she did. She put me right through to John. John happened to be doing nothing at the time. He was twiddling a pencil, he said. So he was the nicest guy. He spoke to me for 15 minutes, and I finally got around to him. You know, I told him about the Zuckers and everything, and he was so great talking to John Landis. And I finally hit him up for a job. He said, Mark, I'm up to my eyeballs in PAs, but you know, if I were you, I would call Roger Corman's New World Pictures, because you know they help out a lot of people. They're doing stuff all the time. So I'm writing down Roger Corman's New World Pictures, and I look up the phone number for Roger Corman. I immediately try the same thing with Roger. I get to New World Pictures. They put me through to Roger's office. His secretary, I said, can I speak to Roger Corman? He's out of the office. And so I call back the next day, same thing. Can I speak to Roger Corman? He's still out of town. I call it again, and finally his assistant is wondering, who is this guy calling? She said, what's this in regards to? I said, his next movie. And she said, oh, you mean Rock and Roll High School? And I said, yes. And she said, well, the production number to that is this. And she gave me the phone number. So I dialed that phone number, and the director, Alan Arkish, answered the phone. And I said, John Landis told me to call. And he said, he did? Well, then you should come down here. So I get on the bus, and I go and meet with the producer. And the first question that the producer asks me is, do you have a car? Now, I didn't have a car. And I had about $700 left after 3 months. I was like eating ramen. But across the street from the couch I was sleeping on was a van that was for sale for $600. So he said, do you have a car? I said, no, I have a van. He said, you have a van? You're hired. So I got my job as a PA on that film. I got back on the bus hoping the van was still for sale, and it was. I bought the van for $600, and that's how I broke into the business.
That is brilliant. I think that is actually probably the best getting into the industry story I've ever heard. That is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.